You're joining the Loudr Lawyer Network, the podcast where we sit down with the law firm owners, attorneys, and visionaries that are making the most noise in the legal landscape nationwide to find out the secrets to their success. Other podcasts think they're getting loud, but we're getting louder. Let's get into it.
Hi, welcome to the Loudr Lawyer Network, where we help attorneys scale to million-dollar months through powerful strategies and connections. And this morning I have Cara Rosenthal Knapp, Esquire. Welcome to the show, Cara.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I was here looking at your impressive, you have an impressive resume. You are a co-founder and chief legal strategy officer for Expert Radiology. You're an attorney, business strategist. You've just done a tremendous job. I want to take me back to the moment that you decided you wanted to become an attorney. And what did that moment look like for you? Yes,
that feels like eons ago. But at the time, I was working for in government relations. I actually had my dream job back at the time when I decided to go back to law school. I guess technically I didn't really have to become a lawyer at that stage because I was doing government relations in-house for a disaster response and recovery services company. So think like earthquakes, hurricanes, anything like that, or man-made like BP oil spill. Anyway, I was negotiating those contracts, and I felt like I just wanted to have another feather in my cap so that when I walked into the room, it was a lot of political environments that I just had that accolade. And so I did. So I went back by night and really never imagined myself anywhere else. But then I guess the way life happens, things change. I got married. We moved to Puerto Rico, having and maintaining that job. And at that time, my book of clients became a little bit challenging in just like the travel and just, as I said, life. So anyway, I kind of had to regroup a little. And at the time, my husband is, who I co-founded Expert Radiology with, is a neuroradiologist. And so he already had a telemedicine, a teleradiology practice going. So we basically just honed in with time on what I was always sort of best at, which was a career built around strategy and systems. So really kind of just figuring out how decisions really get made and building structure around those leverage points. So when we co-founded Expert Radiology, it's around 2017-ish. Don't hold me to that. I guess I should know that off the top of my head, but whatever. It's hard to keep track. We found it really around his neuroradiology practice. Obviously, I wasn't practicing medicine, but I was really building out the operational framework around a very high-level medical practice. With time, we started learning that his quality of reads and interpretations were just different. And he got unexpectedly called to be an expert on one of the cases that he was a treating doctor on. And he really just kind of caught the eye of a lot of personal injury attorneys for his abilities on the stand. And so we kind of, with time, built out this expert witnesses component in addition to a traditional teleradiology practice. And then sometime around 2023, I actually stepped away for a minute from Expert Radiology. Well, not a minute, for 2 years, but that feels like a minute, right? Yeah. I stepped away because I found having kind of this lens and this look into personal injury, the world, the ecosystem, and then just even firms themselves, I saw that there was a place for telemedicine to exist in a kind of a first visit medical platform space. So I did that for a couple of years. And I came back to Expert Radiology about a year ago after seeing kind of tens of thousands of cases of these injured patients. I realized that kind of very much aligns with sort of, as I mentioned at the beginning, this kind of strategy and systems, that the biggest point of leverage in a personal injury case is the MRI report, hands down. And so after kind of seeing that over and over again, I felt like it was time for me to kind of come back in-house and help elevate that report. So while we didn't design it for personal injury purposes, it's a huge value for
Right.
someone like me who understands how a case goes and just timelines. The lifeline and cycle, the life cycle of a case is important to always be considering, and
Yes.
understanding that we had this like amazing tool available with our proprietary MRI report. I honed in on that, and that's where I've been sitting since.
Oh, that's wonderful. I saw you had a company that you started before, the PI Care, right? The
That's
PI
right.
Care, the PI Care, where your slogan was "Time matters when you're injured. Every
Yeah.
moment counts." And I heard you interject that like time is really important in that. Um, that company that you built through, that was your brainchild, right?
Yeah, that was my baby, and so it's sort of funny to have abandoned it a bit, but, what I realized is every minute matters in these cases, and at the end of the day, I am very firmly, after kind of all I've seen in all these years being in this space and observing, the first, like, 30 to 90 days is the most important, if not the most critical part of a case's life cycle. Um, so then kind of looking in even further, I'm a little bit of I'm a meticulous person. I like to like hone in and drill down on all the details. And like I said, once I did that, and even in that space where I was moving patients onward on their path to recovery in that quick timeline,
Yes.
I discovered that at the end of the day, nothing is more important than the MRI, and and it's because it's the one objective piece of evidence in a case. So I mean, if you take a picture of something, what's in the picture is in the picture.
Right.
Period.
It
Hard
can't be
stop.
it can't be faked.
It can't be faked, although you'd be
It can't be
shocked
faked.
at how many doctors will try. But
Really?
oh yeah, I
Tell me
mean,
about that. Tell me about
uh,
that.
there's good actors on both sides. There will be people that will um, say more is there than is, and there's ones who will say that will say no, I don't see that, I don't see that, I don't see that. Depending on who they're advocating for. We don't do that, and that's really how the company came to be and has been growing the way that it's been growing, and how the report ultimately came out. We want it to be a gold star, an ultimate standard in perfect medical practice, highly sensitive. If my husband were on right now, if you had the pleasure of him and not me, you would be very bored. No, just kidding. um, I'm teasing.
No, I
He's
know you
great.
are.
But he would say this, and he says it, and it's so important. He said, "You wouldn't blow off a 2 millimeter disc herniation in an athlete. In an athlete, you're getting like the best medical care because there's a lot of
Right.
money on that
A lot of money on
athlete,
the
right?
table.
A
Yes.
lot of money on the table, and so every doctor is going to look and look and look again. Everyone in the care path is going to really scrutinize every step of that medical decision.
Absolutely.
Should it be different for, a grandmother or a young guy who got into a car accident? We didn't believe it should be. We believe that they should have the highest quality of read. And if you do it right for these PI firms, it's the most valuable tool in their medical report because it sets the medical necessity narrative in such a tremendous way from the start.
Yes. I see here Expert Radiology made Inc. 5000's fastest growing private companies in America. In 2005, you guys were placed at 765, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we've been 2 years in a row on it, and, I don't know where we landed at the last year, but it's yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's a testament to really the work of the radiologists themselves, of course, and also just the quality of the report that we're putting out. I mean, it's a one of a kind report because what we do is we pull together medical illustrations that we created. I mean, no, we didn't create them, but we got world class medical illustrators, truly everyone we could find in the world to draw out every possible outcome of any particular medical diagnoses. And so it's going to show exactly that patient's pathology in a picture drawn out
Mm.
that quite literally we test on our kids. My kids are 9, 7, and 6 years old, and we're like, hey,
Wow.
if I show you this picture, what do you think the problem might be? Could you point to it? And they're like, that big red thing that's pushing into the into this thing. We're like, yep, that's it. You've got it. And I mean, the idea behind it being if patients can understand their injuries, which is what it's really
Right.
about for us, if
Right.
patients can understand their injuries, they're more likely to treat them properly, they're more likely to comply. That's all very important in a personal injury case, but also just in general. And also, if patients can understand, well, they're not medically trained individuals. That means a jury who's not medically trained individuals can understand what the problem is here at a single glance without, there's no he said, she said, or this expert's opinion or that expert's opinion. It's literally right there, clear as day.
So clear as day, a picture. So the product, Precision Plus V3, trademark, I
Yeah.
might add.
Yeah.
Is that is
Thank you.
is that is that the explain what that is?
So it's an MRI report. Have you ever had an MRI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you went, what you don't have to say anything, but about your diagnosis, but do you remember what you, if anything, received back as like the report of your MRI?
Um, Besides lying in a machine with the little thing going round, round, round in a circle, it was I had a negative reading
Okay.
for the
So a
MRI.
negative finding. All right. So,
Yes.
well, that wouldn't be ideal for a personal injury case. No, I'm teasing. But it's good for you. No,
No, I've had positive too. I've had both.
okay.
I've had
So
both.
in any case, when you received your report back, you probably got like one piece of paper, which is like a bunch of medical words on it. And you're like, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean for me? Like what I don't understand it, right? Then we all like kind of I always say we like to go to Google, we like to like self-diagnose and figure out everything that we think the problem is. So nowadays, originally, radiology reports were meant to go back to the doctor. It was a doctor to doctor communication, barring something like truly like a true emergency. And so, but nowadays, people have, all these hospital systems and facilities, they have portals and patients receive their information directly, which is fantastic. But if you can't understand it, think of how worrisome it is until you get to go talk to that doctor about what the next steps are. So, what we did was we reimagined how MRI report should look. And what we thought about was, well, if I'm going to receive this information, what I would want to understand what it says and what it means and like
Mm.
what this might mean for me. And so we thought about the best way to do that. Medical language is complicated. And so, what we have at the end of our reports is a lot of illustration and colorization. So, it's not just a bunch of black and
Mm.
white words. You get a whole diagram that's colored, that shows you exactly
Wow.
what is going on in your body, specifically related to this report. And what's so cool about it is, up until this point, radiologists everywhere, their report is their report. Ours too.
Right.
It was just what we read was what we reported, and that's what went back out. But what we have been able to do with these medical illustrations, which is so cool, is we can now analyze any radiologist report, meaning it doesn't have to be one of our 25 radiologists that's read the images. But we can truly turn any report into this patient comprehensive model because we can add these illustrations based solely on the report. So it's great. And then for a PI case, why it matters, I mean, these are your listeners, is a lot of lawyers and personal injury.
Yes.
Yeah. So they ultimately get moved forward in their case and they have to hire a medical illustrator at some point, most likely, to say
Right.
this is the problem. Or even well before then, when they send out their demand settlement request, they now have this illustration that's quite literally courtroom ready, has been used in courtrooms just as is, presented to juries, and it's all built in and baked into the original report, meaning you don't have
Right.
to spend more time, more money. And then, of course, the insurance adjusters receive this and they have a better understanding of what's going on too. They like it
Right.
too.
I was going to ask you, I know it works positive for the PI attorneys and the patient, but it could also backfire, couldn't it? Have you ever had a situation where there's been a negative based on a report?
We haven't. And the reason is because at the end of the day, a conversation is occurring between a personal injury attorney and an insurance, be it adjuster or at various stages, potentially an attorney. Everyone there's goal is to settle this case out. And
Right.
then, of course, everyone gets, kind of bogged down in the details of that conversation. Well, I think it should be for this and this, and I believe it should be that for that. But oftentimes it's because it's a lot of confusion because it's like, do we really believe this bit of evidence? Do we really believe that the patient has something or not, or it's, if the medical finding was wishy-washy, when in this scenario it's not wishy-washy at all, it's 100% right there in the photo. So the insurance adjusters love it too because they're like, okay, I now see that this person could go all the way to trial with this set of records. I don't want that. I want us to come to a, kind of have a nice kumbaya here. So like,
Kumbaya.
let's get it done. It's been tremendous. I mean, I think that we had a call just the other day and they're like, are you kidding me? We get full policy limits. We're getting them 2 to 3x faster cases settled because everyone understands, right? The
Yeah.
problem oftentimes is a he said, she said, or a misunderstanding, or us not all being aligned on the patient's, or for a lawyer, the client's injuries. But when we can agree that there is an injury here and we can both agree that we see it, everyone comes to the table with a completely different, energy, which is great.
No, that's wonderful. In terms of your business, being the expert radiologist as you are, how do PI attorneys find you? How do you guys market in terms of going that route?
Yeah, so actually, we're very new to marketing. We have never done it until really now. And I don't even know if we would have done gotten to the marketing in the way that everyone else does. We wouldn't have had to think about it, but for the fact that as I explained, we have this like kind of SaaS ability where we can now
Yes.
bring our report out to other radiology reports. I mean, that's really what forced us to put it out there. But in a
Because I would
marketing
think every
capacity,
attorney not to interrupt you, I think
please,
every attorney in the country would want would want you on their side,
they do.
because of what you're able because of
They
what you're able to
do.
bring forward. I mean, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And
100%.
and the ability that you and your husband have created is phenomenal.
Thank you. I mean, we believe so, and we haven't had an attorney ever call us and say, "Well, gosh, we don't really like that." We've had every attorney call and say, "How do I find it? Where do I get it? How can I get this on all my cases?" And it's because it changes the entire trajectory. It just does, and it just enhances so much more too. It's not even about the attorneys. It's also, I mean, it's about everyone involved in the patient's care. When a pain management doctor is able to better explain to their patient why they may need, an injection, or an ortho can explain why they might have to require surgery, and patients understand that from the very first start, they are so much more appreciative and understanding and trusting of those doctors' recommendations and the next steps. When someone has to explain why they might benefit from 6 more weeks of, conservative care, physical therapy or chiropractic care, and how they might benefit from it, and a patient's so much more willing to comply. So the value add is for everyone in the patient's life cycle, most importantly them themselves in their personal recovery and health recovery. But it explains so much. I mean, I don't know about you. I've had some back injuries over the years.
I've dealt
Um,
with sciatica pain, so yeah.
right? Me too.
Yes.
And it's horrible and you can't
It's
hardly get out of
terrible. You
bed.
can't when you cannot sit. You can't sit on the toilet. You can't sit in your
100%.
car. It just feels
Yeah.
like pain just running from your hips all the way down to your legs. You can't even bend over. It's excruciating.
Excruciating, I agree, and so it's like, if you can explain that, and then you have to explain why a patient, or for the firm, the clients can't get out of bed or can't go to work or can't proceed through their life and need this kind of like financial recovery to
Right.
support their health progression to their actual recovered state, it's it's so invaluable to the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. I and I'm quoting you here. You talked about how this is the Precision Plus V3 trademark is a differentiator, like set it to default, becoming the new standard. Like that's your guys' goal, to take this to be the new standard in healthcare, because you really care. From what I took from it is that you really care about the human being, the patient. It's not about a money grab or anything. It's that you're really giving them top tier, like you said, like they're $1 million
Medical care.
athletes. Yeah, it's
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you nailed it, and I'm glad that that was your takeaway. That means I'm communicating the message correctly, because it's
100%.
yeah, it really is. It's our absolute goal, and we are looking at this as a truly a global answer to patient communication and patient comprehension. I think every medical record, it doesn't make a difference. I mean, we're moving into we work in commercial spaces too, with hospital systems. We don't just do
Mhm.
this for personal injury. The value add for personal injury is it has its like own kind of like unique value prop, but it's not the reason we do what we do. We really do what we do because we believe in the highest quality of accuracy and precision and care. And also that patients should be able to understand their medical information so that they are equipped and empowered to take their health into their own hands and to do the most with that. And so we have a mammogram product coming out soon that we're extremely 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 excited about, because nothing is worse than going to get that done and then having to wait to talk to a doctor to figure out what's going on, when you could just have that information the minute the report is rendered and issued by the radiologist. And so we're really passionate about getting it out there and making this be a standard, not only within radiology and imaging reporting, but truly everywhere, that every patient should have the opportunity to understand. It's really at a human level for us, like you said.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. So with expert radiology, is this something that can be done telehealth wise, or do they come into how would a patient come in and be seen?
Yeah, so I mean, just like anything else, I mean, if we read for a ton of imaging facilities, but not every single one yet. So if you have one of that you love, introduce us. But what we do is essentially, yeah, if a patient gets referred by a referring provider, we always suggest, if they want to make sure that they get our report, just they can easily write it. The referring provider can just write on the script, but the patient goes and gets a scan, and then it gets sent to us via, well, they call it a PACS system. It's a medical jargon, but basically through software, it pops up in our radiologists' home offices. They're everywhere, and we read in every state.
So so if I was to go into uh MRI facility, say down the street, right?
Yep. Yep.
That had nothing to do with you guys, and I got the report, I could take that report and have it faxed over to you guys, or sent to you, and then you would read the report?
So, I mean, yes and no, but basically, the more linear path would be if you went into that imaging center, and if they don't have us reading, then you would be coming to us, like so many attorneys do, for second opinions, and that's very easily accessed. We have a portal; you can access it straight from our website, and you can just drop the records in, and you're going to get a report back from us that is read by us and looks just like our standard Precision Plus V3 report. The most ideal, I should say, scenario is that we're already reading at that imaging center you went to. So if you were to go in and we're one of the treating radiologists, that would just be the report that you get from the start. No need
Right,
to hunt us down.
that's beautiful. So you're kind of like, you've used all your your knowledge in terms of being an attorney. What type of attorney are you?
I mean, I now just a strategist inside of our practice, but I did kind of like political strategy mostly. And
Okay.
I
Okay.
did practice
You've always
for a
been
little bit, some others. I did family law for a little bit, but that was not for me.
okay. So you have practice. You have practice. You've taken the bar. You've done those
Oh, yeah.
elements.
Yes.
Okay. So with everything that you've done in that field, being being a woman in this field is groundbreaking. And I found what you've done in terms of putting everything together being something that and having that support with your husband. Tell me how that dynamic works. Being in the field of being the strategist, being a mother, taking care of the kids, being the businesswoman, and then being a loving wife. How do you balance all those together?
Oh, balance is like, I don't even believe in that word anymore. That's like, not, is that a real thing? I don't know. I'm not convinced. I don't believe in it. No, you know what? I invite in the chaos is the honest truth. I feel like you have to acknowledge that there's sort of like no end and beginning to any one thing or any one moment, and that you have to anticipate that it's all just going to hodgepodge all the time. And that works
Hodgepodge.
for me. Yeah, that works for me. I mean, sometimes you have a little extra moment or two in the day to be more present with the kids versus having to, balance a work call that's, from wherever, China, and you have to take that call or where,
Right.
it seems like it's challenging, but I am lucky that I get to do this with a great partner, both, interpersonally, but also a great partner to be in business with. We both have a tremendous amount of energy and a very, very, we're both very, very hard workers. We have a lot of work ethic. So it is very beneficial to do something like this with your spouse as long as you can still remember to be spouses, which somehow
Right.
we figured out most days.
Right. So you've been in the PI. You mentioned the PI. You was in the. You work with a lot of PI attorneys.
Yes.
Since you've worked with a lot of them, what is the biggest myth that you've seen in the PI space that needs to change?
Hmm. Um, the biggest myth. I don't know if I would call it a myth, but I would say that something that PI firms pretty standardly. I'm not even sure if that's a word, but as a standard course of practice, I noticed that PI firms struggle operationally. They and I think that that's because PI is changing a lot as a result of kind of technology and all these other advances that are coming into this space. Private equity is coming into the space. I think that things that I'm seeing is that the old way of doing things, which was a lot of sort of a more casual, handshake friendship or behind the scenes dealings, in this world with between the tort reform that's happening in a lot of states
Right.
and just kind of the energy shift and then AI coming in and somewhat standardizing various aspects of operations. If your firm allows the change, it is beneficial. But trying to stick to the old way of doing things and kind of the buddy system doesn't cut it anymore.
Yeah, I asked you that because you're an attorney and you nailed it. I mean, you hit it on the spot. If you were to go back and talk to your old self, your younger self, what would you tell the younger version of you or someone who's looking to get into your line of work?
Well, that's a good one. Um, I think I would say don't be afraid to say you don't know when you don't know. I think that so often in so many industries, and in personal injury as well, people always want to have the answers and want to appear to have the answers. And I think especially for women in corporate environments, it's very, very tempting to try to make yourself sound like you know something. It's okay to say, I don't know. I'm going to get back
Mm,
to you, and then just make sure that you have that follow through and do that. Figure it out and get back to them. Make sure that, no, don't just say you're going to do it and get back to them and then don't. That doesn't look good either. But I mean, I think I'd want to tell myself it's okay to say I don't know every time I don't know, and then come back with the exact answer and the exact strategy and like kind of just nail it. And I'd want to tell people everywhere that it's okay to do that, young people.
That's a very lovely answer. Lovely answer. Honest. That's an honest answer. Um, I asked a lot of my people that come on, attorneys, business people, what is the term when you hear Loudr Lawyer? Loudr Lawyer. What is a Loudr Lawyer to you?
Well, I assume we're not just talking about volume of voice, but I will tell you there's a few of those out there. I think that power in this space isn't noise. It's knowing where leverage is and structuring your practice intelligently around it and equipping your case with the strongest tools possible. I think that's what a Loudr lawyer looks like to me.
That's wonderful. That's beautiful. We here at Loudr, we talk about Loudr Lawyer being not only our business people for that matter, that because what you do with your services works with PI attorneys, so you make their voice louder with the things that you do and being active and really caring and bringing everything full circle. But it's also being in your community, having that community support, sponsoring teams, charities, giving back, giving.
Absolutely. What's the saying? You get what you give. I believe that.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Cara, I said that right? I don't want to be messing up.
You got it. You got it.
Thank you so much for being a guest here on Loudr Lawyer Network. And if is there a way for people to get a hold of your business? Can you want to leave your info? Leave your digits? Yeah,
sure. I can. I'm sure. I think you guys have the links, but anyway, certainly the easiest way is our website, www.expertradiology.com. Exactly how it sounds, but obviously we have everything, LinkedIn and Instagram. You can find it, me.
All right. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a part of the Loudr Lawyer Network. If you're enjoying the conversation, let us know. Give us a like and subscribe to never miss a thing. We'll see you next time right here on the Loudr Lawyer Network.